in the bottom right. In the red for Dragon Phoenix Gaming, give it up for Rogue. And in the upper left, in the blue, the Maestro, the teamless Protoss player, he is Parting. And of course, the map is Death Aura. We all maybe know what that means. It means a Stargate opener. It means a quick third base. It means a second Stargate. It means quick carriers. It means an Immortal Chargelet Archon Storm. But it also bears in mind that this is the tournament where that build really came to the forefront. Now, it had been tearing it up on the online tournaments, and you were already starting to see players like Cyril complain about it on Twitter as, this is dumb. Players, they just want a turtle with mass void rays in the late game, and it kind of sucks, and I can beat it, but it still feels too strong, and it's dumb. To paraphrase multiple Cyril tweets about the matter. So we're just going to have to see exactly where their parting goes for this. This is Death Aura. Death Aura is one of the 3 maps that it is best on. Of course, the other 2 are Romanticide, which is where this build first started gaining prominence, because it is just so hard to get on to attack on into the third base. And Juggernaut being the third one because it's just so long. And the third base is a little bit more accessible, but it just takes longer to get there. So these Queen Waddles that we see, the Soul Stroll, the German Taxi, all of these things, they're a little bit harder to bring to fruition. Simply because, well, it's a longer map. And that being said, the Queen Waddle is a little bit more effective in that one at the very least because you do have the speed zones, but still not the easiest thing to do. And now, we're going to have to see exactly what parting goes for here. Now, there are 2 variants of the Stargate opener. There's the one that players like Stats like to do, where you get your traditional Stargate. You don't get into Warp Gate immediately, but you instead get a Stargate and then go into Warp Gate, a 230-odd Warp Gate, and that is the traditional Tal. That being said, though, the build that Trap has been doing, that has been seeing so much success, holding all ins, going into the late game, all of these things, involves Warp Gate into Stargate, and that is the build that Parting is going for here in this game number 1. And let's take a moment to talk about why exactly this is so impactful, that I take the moment to specify that it is in fact Warp Gate into Stargate. Because for the last 10 years, maybe a little bit less, well, it has, if you're going to go Stargate in the game of StarCraft 2, and it's a PvZ, you get your Stargate, and then you get your Warp Gate. You want to Stargate out as fast as possible so you can have an Oracle or a Phoenix or whatever it is moving across the map ASAP. Because you want to be able to do drone damage. You want to be able to kill an Overlord as fast as possible. You want to just do damage to your opponent to justify the investment. But that is not what we see players like Parting, players like Trap doing in this game. Instead, they're getting Warp Gate into Stargate, and that allows them to justify what is one of the earliest possible third bases. They take it at 3 minutes and 50 seconds, give or take 20 seconds. Really more take 20 seconds. I don't think I've ever seen a 3:30 third in a PvZ. That just seems absolutely insane. Considering, Warp Gate. Unchroned Warp Gate does not even finish by then, so there's no way you defend that from any Speedlink flood. Anyway, the first Void Ray is out. Second one is now on the way. We're going to see, of course, now that this Overlord is dead and the Void Ray is on the map, we're going to see a probe. There we go. 3 minutes 50 seconds on the dot. And now the question is, how does Rogue opt to deal with this? And I mentioned a build earlier on. I said, you know what? Juggernaut, it allows you to, it means the German Taxi is a little bit less strong. But my fine friends on the internet, this is the German Taxi. Although, actually, it may not be. It may just be Overlord speed, because the German Taxi gets a 4 minute 30-second layer. So we're going to have to see whether Rogue, when he gets to that 100 gas, because he's only, of course, mining 3 out of 3, whether when he gets to that second 100 gas, whether that is the layer, because, of course, you do need that layer to be able to morph Overlords into Dropper Lords and actually get the Queens across the map. We are also only on 5 Queens, and 5 Queens are somewhat reasonable, but not insane. Okay, there's the layer on the way, 4 minutes and 45. That's not quite as fast as you generally go for the German Taxi, so I think this just may be for scouting, as Rogue says, okay, look, I lost my scouting to the Overlord, I want to see what's up. And he will see that the 353rd is like, okay, Void Ray, 353rd. But what he will not see, because it's hidden at the back of his at the back of Parting's natural, is the Chronode Twilight Council. He will not see that Glaive is on the way. He did see a couple gateways though. Of course, the big deal there. Okay, now he will see this Twilight Council chronoing out. Glaives was Parting not going for an aggressive option here. I thought he was, but it appears that that was a misclick. So he canceled Glaives when he noticed that, oh wait, shoot, it's Glaives. Charge is now on the way. We have a Templar Archives on the way here, Forge on the way as well. And this is just how this build goes. This is the trap build. This is the build that has just been so freaking powerful in this matchup. You go up to 6 Fortress, although actually Parting, he's only going up to 2. As I guess he realizes that, yeah, I don't really need to deal with an all-in. That being said, though, I think he does. There are, how many queens are there? Still only 5 queens on the map. Hydra Den is going to be on the way here, but there is no 4th base from Rogue. It is 6 minutes into this game, no 4th base for the Zerg, and that means one thing and one thing only. Corners have been cut to make sure that Rogue can get aggressive as possible. So it looks like we're just going to have a big Roach Hydra-ish type timing from Rogue in this game, as a couple Zerglings will find their way on into the 3rd base, but Zealot Warpens are going to say, okay, well, you might get my gas, but that's going to be about it. No more damage. Especially with the Void Rays coming on over, but you got to remember, these are only 2 Void Rays, not 7. So Rogue, I fear, has actually overcommitted to this timing that he is looking for. Or overcommitted to this tech path that he's looking for, as there are 11, 12, 13 Hydras are on the way. Only 8 Roaches on the map. So this is going to be a primarily Hydra-based timing, as of course Groove Spines will complete, and there should be a creep highway on the map to make sure that the Hydras get over there as fast as possible, or at least the creep is going to be spread in a concerted effort to get to that general direction. That being said, though, Storm will be done. Charge is done. +1 will maybe be done, depending on how quickly Rogue decides to hit this. And well, Parting's got a 4th base on the way. Parting may lose this 4th base to the time. But considering Rogue is only just now finishing up his 4th base, I don't think Parting would be all that sad. And the longer Rogue waits with this, the more likely it is that the 4th base does stay up. Because, well, then you can get shield batteries down, you can get a whole bunch of stuff to defend this, and now we have the push. It's coming across the map. Ravagers are on the way. Of course, these are slow Hydras. They do not have muscular augments, so they will not be able to move all that fast. They just have groove spines. And just Parting aware of this. Oh, now we have Rogue. Look at this. He's going to get a full 360-degree surround here. The question, though, is whether the Storms will be good enough, and it does not look like they will be. Not at first. Nice blitz here from Rogue. Even though the Hydras are slow, and the Warp Prism, it goes down, so we're not going to see any Archon juggling, any Immortal juggling, nothing like that. It is just going to be a straight-up sledgehammer here, and the question is whether Parting has enough to defend. I mean, his army supply is severely lacking. Even if he does have +1 done, so does his opponent, and he is just lacking a whole lot here. The Storms, they're not even landing, not yet. We don't see them. There we go. There's one, but it's not going to be all that great at all. And now the Roaches, they have found their way on top of this cannon. The shield battery overcharge is a thing, and maybe that will allow Parting to survive here, but it's 170 supply to 122. More and more army of Rogue is on the way. The Hydras, they are fighting strong. The Storms, they're going to land on a bunch of Roaches, not the juicy Hydras that Parting is looking for. And Rogue, he's going to go back and regroup for the moment. But he's up 50 army supply. He has taken a roughly equal trade in a game where you have... Actually, I guess the economies are equal. I'm so used to talking about Zergs as always having the better economy, but that is not the case in this game. 72 workers to the 75 of Parting. 4 bases to 4 bases. Yeah, just about equal. Now we do have a second robo on the way, as well as more and more immortals here. So Parting is rapidly increasing the technical complexity of his army. That being said, though, hold that thought. Rogue, he's going to push on in once again. How many Storms do we have? It looks like 2. Actually, how many... See, something like 4 Storms, I think, something like that. So that is a scary army. Don't get me wrong, but now look at this. Rogue, he's attacking in 2 places at once. But look, the cannons are already here. The static defense is already here, although Rogue's going to get on top of things pretty fast and drop some vials to kill things off. And there we have the shield battery overcharge. Will be able to keep things safe, but that is just a distraction here. The rest of the army of Rogue will be able to knock this 3rd base out with great aplomb. Pylon going down as well, so the shield battery's not doing a whole lot. And the army of Rogue on the left-hand side as well, up 70 supply. is dominant here in this game. Number 1, the 4th base will go down. Tremendous damage being done to the army at the 3rd base of Parting as well. And now Rogue into the space between the natural and the 3rd, looking to cut the Protoss army off. And we're going to see a full potential surround here. Now, these storms are going to be magnificent here. The army of Rogue on the left-hand side, it is getting evaporated, but still, the army of Parting, it is small. Granted, it's getting bigger, and the army of Rogue is really not getting all that much better. The storms are going to be really good, and with the 2 Immortals with the Archon, actually, looks like Parting will be able to hold for the moment, even as he does lose 19 workers, even as he does lose his 4th base. The question now, though, is how much damage will Parting be able to do on the counter-attack? He's made a good hold. He's not dead, but he does need to do counter damage. He cannot just sit here and take his 4th again and take his lumps and take his lumps and take his lumps because he does not have a further tech path available. There are no carriers coming in behind this. There is no +1 air. There is nothing beyond this tech path from Parting. And the army of Parting here is not one with significant finesse. It is set up the concave, A move, drop storms. And yes, there's a little bit more micro than that, especially with a warp prism, with immortals. But you have to remember, at the end of the day, the army of Parting is a sledgehammer, not a scalpel. And the storm will land, and there's going to be some incredible hammers here. The question, though, is whether it's going to be enough, as now Parting, he's going down into a concave, something that is always scary, but the army supplies are a lot closer than they ever have been. Parting now only down 30 army supply, as opposed to the 60 he was down at some points. He has +2, he has upgrade parity, he has storm, he has so many Archons, he has 3 Immortals, and he is now marauding onto the other side of the map, looking to take revenge for his fallen 4th base, for his Protoss units that have died thus far in this game, but he has to be careful. Taking a fight into the choke like that for Rogue could be his death knell. But now Parting, he's going to find his position on the left-hand side of the map. The storm on the right-hand side is going to be very good. It will do tremendous damage here to the army of Rogue, but Rogue is going to back up, and now Rogue looking for the fight, looking for the engagement that will be able to clear Parting off from his side of the map, allow Rogue to take that 5th base. But you got to remember here, Rogue, he does have a tech path behind this. Lurkers are on the way. Hive is halfway done. Sorry, Lurker Den is on the way. Hive is halfway done. And that means Rogue will eventually have an army that is just so good against the army of Parting here. Parting, he has a great timing, absolutely, do not get me wrong, but it is a limited one. So he has to make this work. He has to do some sort of damage with his army. But look at this, all the Zerglings from Rogue, they find their way onto the other side of the map, but has that hamstrung the army of Rogue here? Has that taken too much out of the supply of Rogue as he's looking to make this hold? Now the Biles are going to be very good. A sentry will go down, and the army of Parting is not exactly together. The chargelets there in the front-hand side, but the rest of the army of Parting, not really there. And look at this, though. Parting, he realizes where the army of Rogue is and says, okay, now is the time. Let's get a full-on flank here. On the other side of the map, though, Rogue has taken out the 4th base of Parting. Once again, Parting functionally all in this game, but the storms are going to be incredible. The High Templars, they will, of course, eventually get targeted down, but Parting here, for the first time in this game, for the first time in forever, he has army supply parity. His army is equal to the army supply of his opponent. That being said, though, the Warp Prism has been targeted down. That means, of course, there is no resupply. Parting is reliant wholly and solely on the tech that he has here, on 2 Immortals, 2 Void Rays, an Archon, a Void, or a Sentry, and a Dream, and it looks like Rogue just barely is going to have enough here. That being said, though, there's only 1 Queen. The Queen's going to get targeted down, and there is nothing. There's absolutely nothing that can contest the air army of Rogue, or of Parting here in this game number 1, and now Parting, the rest of his army, though, it will be slapped aside, but Parting will be able to take the 4th base of Rogue in exchange. And now, we're going to take a breath. We're going to sit down and haul back, because there's a gap in the action for just 3 seconds. Actually, he's not going to get the... Oh, is he going to get the 4th base? Parting, microing his heart out here, will be able to get the 4th base. So now it is a 3-base Zerg. Functionally, I guess he does have this 4th base, but it's not mining yet, against a 3-base Protoss. Parting up on upgrades, and he will get a get a scouting overlord here. These Voiders actually in a position, there's not a whole lot of anti-air. But okay, with the Hydras here, these are +2 Hydras. 1 Void Ray will go down. Parting, though, he's going to find this base. He will find the last functionally mining base. I mean, look at this, 6 out of 8. 8 out of 8. I mean, the primary 3 bases here of Rogue are not mining, but he does have 1 base that he can mine off efficiently. Parting, he doesn't. So if we look at relative incomes in this game, okay, Parting's income is actually surprisingly higher than I thought it was, considering everything. But there is some efficiency to be gained in oversaturating your mineral lines. Now, granted, you would prefer to not do that, but it's better than nothing. As once again, Parting getting ready to move on in here. But now there are 8 lurkers on the map. And is there an observe? There is no detection here for the army of Parting. And, oh, are these hold position? Their hold position. Oh, no, Parting. Parting, you gotta be careful. Oh, no, but, oh, now we have the hold position. It is turned off, and the army of Parting is gonna melt. All the High Templars go down in an instant. And now Parting, that army, that powerful army that he had, the hold position micro of Rogue, is taking the wind out of Parting's sails to an extreme extent. Now we do have 2 observers on the way, but the timing that Parting maybe had is not really there, not anymore. And of course, Rogue, he's got an upgrade lead. Okay, where did we lose workers? Not really sure. There is an upgrade lead here for Rogue. So this army of Parting, it does a lot of damage, but it's gonna do a little bit less damage here. That being said, though, Carapace matters a whole lot less when we are looking at. Oh, actually, Parting is gonna be able to sandwich the army of Rogue here, and that's gonna be pretty impactful. Now the lurkers will burrow on the ramp, but Parting here, he's just gonna look to take the fight with only 3 lurkers, not with all 8 together all at once. But the lurkers, they're not getting targeted down. The storm is gonna land, but not on the lurkers. And call an ambulance, Rogue, but not for you. As Parting now down 40-50 supply. All of that is an army. He does not have the economy that he is looking for. And Rogue, he's looking to crush on in here. Now the army of Rogue on the right-hand side, the couple roaches on the run by, they will get taken out. And if we see continue to see storms like this, well, that's going to be the fight that Parting is going to look for here. As actually all the lurkers are going to go down, but there is just nothing left, nothing behind. More and more charge lots are going to get warped in, but there is no storm. There is 1 Archon, 1 Immortal, and a Dream. And unfortunately, the Dream is dead. Parting, he's sleeping too soundly in this game number 1. He will not remember this dream, and he's going to have to tap out. GG, Rogue is going to take game number 1. All right, so now Rogue, he got a 1-0 lead in a dramatic back and forth game number 1. Parting could win, Rogue could win, Parting could win, Rogue could win, and eventually Rogue got the tech that he needed. He got up to that lurker tech. He was able to get that last final push in, and because Parting was just not mining, well, the game ended. But it's a best of 3. 1 game does not a series make, and we're getting ready to move on into game number 2. It will be on Juggernaut. Let's go. Well, as I say that, I hit the watch replay button. So now we need to wait for the replay to load on in, and the timing, it's not going to be perfect. So sorry, all those of you watching at home, but it's going to be good enough. As now we're loaded in to our second and perhaps final game of this best of 3 Rogue, looking to win, advance onwards, and win and face the loser of Beyond Trap in the series final, in the group final. But to do that, he has to get past Parting here in this second game. So let's get into it. And spawning in the bottom left, in the red for Dragon Phoenix Gaming, up 1-0 in this best of 3, he is Rogue. And of course his opponent in the upper right, in dire straits, in this series, in the group, he's the teamless Protoss player. Give it up for Parting. And we got something special coming on up here in this second game in the series. Parting going for the SOS wall on the high ground of Juggernaut. Forge on the way. It's going to be a good old-fashioned cannon rush in this game number 2. Parting saying, I didn't like that long game. It took a little bit too long. It felt a little bit hard. What if I just knock you out before 5 minutes? That seems like a good deal here. Although he will cancel one of those pylons. Just wants to make sure that he can get up on the high ground eventually. And oh, is he going to wall the probe in? No, he won't. Okay. The drone will not get walled in. But we do have this is a gate. This is a forge gateway, which means it is most likely not proxy robo. We may see the gateway complete, and we may see a couple zealots or a couple stalkers come out of here, depending on whether he gets a cyber core or not. But the whole point behind this, the whole plan behind this, is good cannon placement. That's what actually drives this game. That's what drives the attack from Parting here in this game number 2. Unlike, of course, a gate forge, at which point you proxy the robo, and what really the important thing are the shield batteries and the Immortals that come on, and the shield batteries, the Immortals, and the War Prism that comes on out. But now that 3 drones will be pulled, of course, 3 drones do kill a cannon. But unfortunately, for Rogue, he pulled it a little bit late, so now the cannon will get up. Second cannon coming up as well, and now Parting has just a tremendous outpost to be able to put some aggression on in here. But you got to remember, I mean, yes, he has... Rogue has not really committed a lot to this defense. Yeah, he pulled a couple workers. He has not lost a single drone over the course of this game. And what that means is he will actually have pretty much the maximum possible amount of stuff that he's going to be looking for in this game to make sure that he can make his ult, can make sure he can break out of here and move onwards. Now, it looks like here for Rogue, he is not going for the lair tech that you sometimes go for, where you go and you get lair and you get a Nidus and you drop a bunch of speedlings or even slowlings in the Protoss player's main base. And oh no, the Zealot's going to get the Queen and he's going to get the Creep Tumor, which means this cannon rush, it's got a whole lot more life to it. And actually, the Zealot's going to survive as well. So there will be no Creep Tumors on the low ground, which means, of course, that you can put more cannons in more interesting positions. That being said, though, we're going to have a bunch of Isles go down, and one cannon goes down immediately, but now we have the shield batteries on the way. One Stalker is here. Second one just about done. Going to get it chronoed out, and Warp Gate is on the way here. Now, these three Ravagers are doing a really good job of containing the amount of shield batteries on the map, but now 2 Stalkers are out, and 2 shield batteries are there to support them. So suddenly, this becomes a lot more difficult for our red Zerg player. But you got to remember here, even if this game goes poorly for him, as it's kind of starting to look like it is, he has game number 2, and oh no, he loses 2 Ravagers now. And realistically, when you're looking to make the hold, this is a really finicky. Oh, look at that. This is actually really cool. But nope, the shield battery is going to do just enough. There were eggs left on the low ground from the hatchery getting up. And what that meant was Rogue was able to build a couple roaches on the low ground to A, augment his supply, but B, also maybe take the cannon down. But no, Rogue says, I've lost too much. It's not enough. GG Parting. Let's just go to game 3. I heard you all like cannons. Well, we got some cannons in that game number 2. And now, well, that means we have the opportunity to go to our second straight game 3. Well, second straight if you watch this live, I guess. If you're watching this on YouTube, well, I guess maybe second straight best of 3, depending on what you decided to watch. But anyway, let's get into game number 3 as soon as the replay loads up. With Parting versus Rogue on Romanticide. Which, by the way, we talked about Romanticide being the progenitor of the 2-base Stargate, or the 2-gate Stargate build. Well, or the 2 Stargate build, I guess is a better way to say that. But we're going to have to see whether that is what Parting decides to go for here. All tied up 1-1. Winner plays the loser of Beyond Trap in the final match in Group B. So, without further ado, let's get into it. We get a nice little intro there, but it's not my intro, so it's fine. In the upper left, in the blue, he's a teamless Protoss. He is Parting. And of course, his opponent in the bottom left, in the red for Dragon Phoenix Gaming. Give it up for Rogue. And we do have Parting going for that hatch block, as Protoss players are wont to do. Pretty much one of the more annoying things that they can do. But hey, it's going to be fine. It's going to be dandy. Because, of course, Zerg players have learned at this point that you just send your drone out at about 130 minerals, 110 minerals, instead of 180. And, well, you just kind of do that. And if there is the drone showing, you just go and you take your natural at your 3rd base location, and it's fine. All right. So the question is, what are we going to see here from Parting? Because I feel like if the game goes late, if the game just kind of goes a standard game, Rogue very much has the advantage with how the games have been going, with how we've been seeing things progress. So I do feel like the onus is on Parting in this game to actually get something done. to go and, oh, that's a 19 supply of third base. So again, that's just the Korean style of PvZ, or ZVP, although we have seen the Western style of ZVP feel a lot more prominent, yeah, for both Koreans and non-Koreans in the matchup, where you get that like 30, 32 supply of third base. This 19 supply of third base does sacrifice getting a queen for it to make that happen. You don't get queens quite as fast, but on the flip side, you get your third base faster. And I guess the logic here for Rogue is, well, okay, my queen's going to be a little bit slower. That's fine. I will, however, get my creep connecting my main, my natural, and my third a lot faster. And that takes out that problematic point where 2 adepts, they can shade on into the third base, well, functionally the natural, but at the third base location, and shade into the main and just make it rather difficult until speed is done. But of course, we do see a Stargate coming on up here behind Warp Gate. So once again, it does look like Party is going for the build that we talked about. Warp Gate into Stargate, into a 350 third base, into a second Stargate just about immediately afterwards, into Charge Loud Immortal Archon Storm, into Carrier. Now, Parting tried that in game number 1, but he stopped at 2 Void Rays. He did not really commit hardcore to the build as the players that have been really winning with it have, where again, it's 6 to 8 Void Rays. It is just, sometimes it's even +1 before a third base, as you just try to make yourself, you just get a lot of Void Rays and you hold on with that. Parting, though, it looks like he would rather just get the anti-scouting, defensive Void Rays, and just get his ground army there faster. So that appears to be the way Parting played at least game number 1. We're going to have to see how he decides to play game number 3 here, because this appears to be the build that he is going for. Now, there are options. He could drop a Twilight Council. He could drop a Twilight Council and say, actually, I'm going for the stats build where I take a quickish-ish third base, but no, not really. I'm getting Adept Glaives. I'm going to move across the map with something like 12 to 14 Adepts with Glaives, just about the time that the Zerg is finishing joining up their third base, and I hope they've skipped a Roach Warren so I can just go and kill them. However, Parting, he's got that 350 third base. The interesting thing, though, the little bit of difference here that we're seeing in this game number 3 that we did not see in game number 1 is there will be an Oracle coming off second here for Parting. So he's not going to have that double Void Ray defense that we would normally see, but there we go, second Stargate on the way, and I think we're just going to see a lot of Void Rays coming out here from the teamless Protoss player, from the Protoss player who realistically, he had some great showings in GSL this year. He raised a lot of hype. But I feel like ever since the moment where he realized that, oh, I got to go to military, and then he was able to push it off, I feel like, I don't know whether it was the shock of having to go to the military and then realizing that you're going to be okay, or whatever it is, whether it's just the pressure of playing a year competitively, but Parting has not shown the results that he was showing in the middle of the year. He has been absolutely dominant through GSL Season 1, Season 2, Season 3. He was like the only Protoss that could beat Zerg for a little bit. He was just dominant in PvT, and we're just not seeing that quite as much. I don't know whether this is just the meta evolving, whether this is a mindset thing for Parting, whether this is an amount of practice that Parting is going for. Not really sure. But I do know that his results seem to have trended downwards over the last 4 months after a really tremendous return to form at the start of this year, because remember, he took some time off from StarCraft. He was playing other games. I think he tried to get into Overwatch League. I'm not exactly sure what he was doing, but he was playing a bunch of different esports, and not quite successful. So he's like, okay, I'm going to come back to StarCraft, and he looked really good. But we're going to have to see whether he can take this game and return to his former dominance, return to the form that he was showing through the first part of the year when he made multiple GSL round of 8s, when he beat Maru 3-0 with the same build over and over and over again. But we do now have Charge on the way. We do have a Templar Archives on the way. How many Void Rays do we have? We have 4. Parting really seeming to just not trust the power of the defensive Void Ray, which is rather interesting. Because, again, the pro players that seem to be really successful with this build, they trust the power of the defensive Void Ray. Although, I guess we're going up to 5, and 5 is close enough to 6 that maybe it's okay. Now, Rogue, for his part, he will go for a Hydraling Bane timing here in this game number 2, because make no mistake about it, Zergs do not like to play the late game once it's triple Stargate Carrier. It just really, it feels very difficult. I've seen Zergs win, but it just feels like they are trying to avoid it with the builds that they tend to choose. And well, now we have 10 Hydras on the way. Baneling speed, closer to being done than not done. But of course, the big timing here is not Baneling speed, although that is very important. but it's groove spines. You want those Hydras to be able to fire over force fields. You want them to be able to fire from further away. You want the second rank and third rank of Hydras, if they're in a clump, to be able to fire at the air units. That being said, though, parting, Storm is just about halfway done. And Storm, if you chrono it, is actually a surprisingly quick upgrade for how powerful it is. But now, parting, he's active on the map. He's going to look to maybe target this fourth base down, but no, there are Hydras here. He will not be able to do such shenanigans. And now Baneling speed is done. Zerglings, they're going to find their way onto the other side of the map. And, of course, the damage here for Rogue is not in the Hydras. I mean, it is. But he is committed to ground. He's committed to melee attack over ranged. So the whole point here will be the Zerglings will be the Banelings to find their way on in. And, oh, that is a tasty, tasty group of High Templar that Rogue was not really able to get on top of. And now, okay, we will have a bunch of gases get targeted down here. That's going to be a nice move because, of course, this is going to be a gas-expensive army coming on in for Rogue in this next attempt. A lot of Hydras, a lot of Zerglings, a lot of Banelings. And Zerglings don't cost any gas, but Banelings do. And you can rapidly go through your gas bank building 30 Banelings, as we will most likely see Rogue do here. And Parting is just doing such a good job of denying all of the gas. This is really annoying here for Rogue. So, where are we in this game? Rogue, he's got his 4 base economy. He's fully saturated on 4 bases. Baneling speed is done, and actually, it looks like we're actually not going to even hit a groove spine timing. Instead, we're going to wait until we have Hydra speed, which does mean that reinforcements are going to be a bit faster. It means, more importantly, that the Hydras can at least attempt to split away from the incoming storm. Now, these Zerglings... Actually, never mind. That's not a incoming 4th base on the 12 o'clock position. Actually, no, never mind, it is. But it was just a bunch of Zealots there to defend it. So now these Hydras are actually going to get a really nice position. And remember, Groove Spines means they have 7 range. So they can actually do a lot of damage in these quote-unquote dead air spaces. Now, Rogue does need to target the Void Ray down. Rogue, kill the Void... Nope, he won't. Okay. We may see that happen a little bit later. And now the Void Rays, once again, they're going to get a Queen. I mean, massed Void Rays, these are 6 Void Rays, right? They kill Queens pretty fast. Oh, they're going to get on top of +2 ranged. That, of course, means that Banelings, they do not one-tap workers, and they will most likely not one-tap workers in this game. Now, oh my goodness! Okay. Belay everything I just said, it doesn't matter anymore. We just saw 7 High Templar die to like 4 Banelings. Rogue realizes this too, is look at this. Suddenly he was trying to defend his base. He says, okay, I just killed 7 High Templar with 2 Banelings. Let's A-move. There is nothing. Not a lot here that Parting can really do to defend this. Now, 3 more High Templars are here, and they do have storms, but oh, once again, the connection's there. Nice save, though, as the High Templar will be saved by the Warp Prism, but this 4th base, there's no saving this. 7 High Templars dying, that amount of storm energy just falling off the map. Yeah, I'm sorry, Parting. You're going to have to hope to hold your 3rd, but that 4th base, it is absolutely forfeit. Now, how many storms do we have on the map? It looks like I only see 1. There may be some hiding off screen, so there is that storm going on down. But there is more Banelings, more Hydras, more Zerglings, where that came from, and they're going to look to just come crushing on here. Banelings on top of all the workers, 28 workers die in an instant. Hydras now, they're on top of all the Void Rays, and this Robo will never complete its journey, will never complete its charge. No more Immortals coming on in, and it is just a bunch of Void Rays and a hope and a dream here. Parting 68 supply to the 153. The 3rd base is forfeit, not that it could mine anyways, and Rogue, he has broken through Parting here in this game number 3. GG Rogue is going to move on. He's going to face the winner, or excuse me, the loser of Trap Beyond in the final match of Group B.